State of Decay 2 is not a zombie game. In this video, I'm going to talk about 3 reasons why State of Decay 2 is far more than just zombies. 1. Community. 2. Factions. And 3. Base building. Many people sleep on this game because they think it's just another generic zombie shooter. This is one of my favorite survival games on the market, but I think it's a little misunderstood, and I'd like to talk about it. First, the community. The community aspect of State of Decay 2 is one thing that really makes it stand out. The ability to recruit multiple survivors, to build up each of their skills, to have them play off each other's weaknesses. One might be really good with medicine, another might be really good with mechanics, so it can create repair kits for your vehicles. Each survivor has its own pros and cons. Some might come with really good traits, some might come with negative traits that decrease the morale of everybody else. The focus isn't on just one player like it is for a lot of games. You know, most games you have your main player character, you're building up your skill points, your skill trees and all that kind of stuff. State of Decay is unique where you're building up, 8 different characters or however many you have in your community. You start off with 3, they're randomly generated, and the skills of these randomly generated starting characters are very bad. I mean, they can't really fight, they can't run that long, they can get overwhelmed very easily. The progression comes from recruiting more survivors over time, playing as each of these different survivors, increasing the cardio, increasing the fighting. And then once you get to a more late game stage, you have multiple survivors with a maxed out fighting skill, a maxed out cardio skill. You can get these 2 guys to follow one another, and then you are a real force to be reckoned with. The focus on community is what really makes State of Decay 2 stand out among its competition. If you're playing a game like Left 4 Dead, the entire point is to shoot a bunch of zombies. If you're playing Dying Light, the entire point is like environment traversal and combat with the zombies. Combat is a big part of State of Decay 2, make no mistake about it. But when you play, you'll find yourself focusing on the community itself a lot more than just worrying about combat all the time. When I say State of Decay 2 is not a zombie game, that's what I'm talking about. It's this focus on the community, on surviving together rather than just building up a god character. Instead of building up this god character, you're honestly trying to build up like this godlike community where when they work together, they can just tackle any problem ahead of them. As you're taking care of your community, one big thing you need to watch out for is permadeath, which is a fairly unique feature of State of Decay 2. It's not exclusive to State of Decay 2. Other games do have permadeath, but it's not very common, and it's perfect for this game. You have all your different survivors, you become attached to certain ones, you probably play as certain ones more than others, and if they die, they are gone. And now, you gotta figure out a replacement for them, which is stressful, but in a great way. So enough about the community, let's go ahead and talk about the faction system that I think is really cool. The faction system, or they're called Enclaves in the game. It's not the deepest faction system you've ever seen, but it works really well for this game. With each enclave, you can trade. Maybe you're really low on meds and there's an enclave that took up in a hospital somewhere and they're selling meds. You can spend your influence points to get those meds instead of having to scavenge God knows where to find those meds. Much more importantly, though, is you can raise the relationship with them. I'll be honest, I don't always love the quests that the enclaves give. Some of them very much are fetch quests, but it's still an engaging experience. Whatever they need help with, maybe they become a follower of you and you go like kill a juggernaut in the game. And then when you're finished, you go back to their base and you gain reputation with them. Once you get your reputation high enough, they can become an ally. And when they're an ally, they give your entire community some kind of benefit. Maybe it could be like some medicine every day. Maybe it could be a new radio command that you can ask them for help. There's many different benefits that the enclaves can offer. It's all randomly generated. It's different for everyone's game. It's a lot of fun when you have a bunch of allies on a map. But this is a very unique thing for a survival game. I can't really think of any other survival games that have a faction system like this. It could be expanded on a ton. It's honestly pretty basic, and even what is in the game now, I absolutely love, I adore. It's a great time. And this leads me to the third thing that I love about State of Decay 2, the base building. So the base building is different in State of Decay 2 than a lot of other games. Think of a game like Rust, where you're kind of manually placing down objects and like literally building a base like brick by brick. State of Decay 2 is not like that. There is a finite number of bases on each map, and you need to collect the number of people required and the amount of influence required to move in there. The base system kind of reminds me of like The Walking Dead. Like in The Walking Dead, they're not actually building their own base, at least not in the early seasons of the show. They are moving into a farmhouse, then they're finding a prison to move into. These are bases that already existed on the map, and they just had to collect the resources to move in, and that's exactly what State of Decay is. Once you move in, you can still customize the base. You can customize some bases more than others, but all of them can be customized. You can put whatever you want in there, and by the time you get late game, it is kind of subjective whatever the best base is, because each base has different pros and cons, and it's kind of up to you and whatever your playstyle is to decide for yourself what kind of base you want. Maybe you want to build a bunch of things. You want a bunch of large slots, a bunch of small slots, and you really just want to build a custom base that can be kind of whatever you want. Or maybe there's a base you found that has a lot of built-in utilities that you find yourself using all the time, and you don't feel the need to build a whole lot, then you might move into that base. The base is a complaint for a lot of people. A lot of people wish they could just build any kind of base that they want, and I totally get it. Maybe if you're a late game, you should be able to do that, but I still think the way the base system is done is very unique and rewarding, and it just makes the State of Decay stand out in this zombie world where there's endless amounts of games that are all pretty similar. And now, zombies. So obviously, zombies are a big part of State of Decay 2. They are everywhere. Zombies can kill your character. You very much need to be on the lookout for zombies. They are a big part of this game. But I wouldn't say they're the point of this game. This isn't like a zombie shooter. Everything we've talked about here is a lot of fun on its own, but when you add in the zombies, they add this sort of pressure to the player that just makes the entire experience, everything we talked about before, managing a community, dealing with factions, trying to build your base. The zombies add a sort of pressure to this system that makes these other gameplay mechanics just way more fun. Say you have a really good survivor that you've gotten attached to and you're doing some kind of supply run and you're low on health and you run into a juggernaut. Oh fuck is your feeling. You do not want to lose that survivor because the survivors is what really matters in this game. And the zombie, that juggernaut, is just this crazy, ridiculous amount of pressure where you probably just want to get away from that juggernaut. You don't really want to fight it. The difficulty really matters in this game. If you raise it, it becomes very difficult, and everything I just talked about becomes more and more and more true. If it was only about zombies, then State of Decay would not stand out the way that it does. And so, that's all I wanted to talk about. I just really like State of Decay 2. I just wanted to talk about it for no reason. I think it's a phenomenal survival game, and I think more people would enjoy it that maybe haven't tried it, and if they did try it, they'd really like it. So, if you haven't tried it, give it a go. You might have a good time. Co-op aside, the co-op's kind of bad, but everything else is really good. I promise. You should have a good time with it. So I'll see you in the next one.